Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Convention with the Weekly Comic Roundup. We're making our way through the first parts of this week's Marvel books. Okay, so kicking things off, we've got, after Blood Hunt's been wrapped up, X-Force #1. So, X-Force, yeah, it's a different team from, different type of team from previous, well, at least the Krakoan version. They're not the mutant CIA. As you can tell from the cover, Forge, Sage, Ascani, Captain Britain, Surge, Deadpool, and Tank are the team members. Tank being a new character who will be being in the issue. Anyways, the issue begins with the X-Men. The X-Men in the '80s fighting the Brood. Got Shadowcat, Cyclops, Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Colossus, Storm, and Rogue. But it's a hollow simulation that Forge is watching. The narration, however, is from Sage, talking about it. Reflecting on Forge. But Ford was working on a project, and he was watching the hollow simulation to kill time while his robotic assistant got everything prepared for phase 1 of the McCoy project. McCoy Project was the name that Forrest thought he'd change, but he didn't. But the work is inspired by some of Beast's work. There's a hologram of Hank from back when he was not blue, the point when he wasn't blue and furry, saying that he just wants to be normal. It comes down to that. Normal body, normal clothes, normal life. What nature gave Hank this mutated body, but it also gave him his mind. Should he not use that mind to effect the changes he wants, that he needs? Science is about understanding and taming nature, not bowing slavishly to its whims. It's about taming the beast. But he says that Hank McCoy tried to run away from his mutation and stumbled upon a power-up. But Forge is the stumble. Forge's mutation is reactive, passive. He sees mechanical solutions to physical problems and builds them. And so, phase 1 is tested. He ended up seeing fractures. Heart Home, Florida, the well of all things, the fourth of torment, Sorachi Shi. But it worked. The analog first, however, is Tessa. Nothing works without Tessa. Tessa being better known as Sage. So Forge goes then to La Clinique des Street in Geneva, Switzerland, where Sage is after the events of Fall of X. But he comforts her, saying, "Hey, you didn't see any of this coming. Don't go so hard on herself." And he said, and people like them don't fold up shop. They don't hide. They fight. It's who they are. And Forge forgot that. Then he remembered. Then he made basically the world. It's got plotting, time coordinates, 5D complex tracking, stacked dimensions, and is growing, but the sphere is outside the sphere. And ley lines? And she notices fractures and says it's always breaking. All the fissures, fractures, the world's breaking. Forge says, only if they let it. And so, 10 days later, Sage and Forge are headed to Sorachishi, the Yamaguchi prefecture in Japan, on what appears to basically be a blackbird. Where they're joined by their first two teammates, Captain Britain and Ascani, Elizabeth Braddock, and Rachel Summers, Ray. We get a flashback to 4 days previously where Sage and Forge recruit the ladies. But Betsy wants to know the operation is supposed to be, clandestine, violent, all directed by the analog. With Forge explaining that it targets crisis points, fractures. They seal the cracks before they break. But and Betsy and Rachel are in, though Betsy states no Deadpool this time. And so, in Japan, they, before come upon an odd scene, no people around. There appears to be some kind of blue goop and what appear to be police vehicles around, but no police. And so Sage opens the door and is almost electrocuted by Surge. But Rachel manages to calm things down. Surge is quite happy to see the rest of the X-Men. Translates for the others, so tell what's going on, and the blue goop begins to reform and coalesce into goop creatures. Also, Forge has made some modifications to his cyborg limbs for a bit more defense. And then Tank comes in, bringing Wade. Wade tries to interest Betsy and Rachel in polyamory. We also see Forge recruiting Wade to basically work for hire. And the goop eats Deadpool, most of Deadpool's costume, so yeah. And Rachel started getting overwhelmed. She tells Captain Britain that she needs a boost, and but they make a TK shield and manage to get all the civilians out, and so it's just X-Men. And there's a giant goop thing. Rachel blows a hole in it, but that hole just grows back. Sage has managed to figure out what it is. Fujikawa Research Group is a subsidiary of EHC, Essex Holding Corp., meaning Nathaniel Essex, Mr. Sinister. Interesting to note. And Tank executes Maneuver L on the targeting the creature's mouth. Maneuver L is throwing Deadpool at the creature, but the fracture is corrected, and they're done here. Apparently, Forge states that Deadpool was a poison pill, and he should take it back. He saved the world. And turns out that Wade's cancer is the fix. The creature eats biomass to grow, and he's like a buffet of empty calories. It's eating Wade, but it eats the cancer. It eats. Deadpool's cancer regenerates him over and over again until the creature starves to death. Should take about 3 days' time. Then Deadpool gets to collect his feet. And on to the next fracture in Wakanda, the Forest of Torment. And that is where the issue ends. Okay, alright. A little bit different than past X-Force titles, but, you know, I dig it. Moving on, though, to our next book, we've got X-Men Heir of Apocalypse, number 4. Wrapping up the miniseries with Apocalypse's post-Krakoa epilogue. So, where we left off, Apocalypse was held something of a contest of sorts to decide on a new heir. It was down to 4 contestants: Cable, Cypher, Forge, and Mirage. But we just discovered that last issue that the contestants who'd been killed were not actually killed. They were simply put in stasis at the moment of their deaths. And beneath the sands of Egypt, the remaining contestants are taking on giant animated statues of the First Horseman. And Apocalypse is ready to make his decision. And he approaches Cable, basically offering him, stating that he's an heir who does not hesitate to oppose Apocalypse in turn. His aim is true and relentless. Cable's, that is. That's why he's been selected. But, and Apocalypse says that Cable is as much a son of Apocalypse as he is of Summers or Pryor or Gray. His war never ends. Then we have Forge. Forge is shown the Forever City, that he using the X-Men's treehouse as a blueprint, or as a prototype. The Forever City was designed to stop some of the various social ills that humanity deals with. Homelessness, food scarcity. Forever cities were designed to be completely sustainable. However, before they got to be implemented, Orcus mucked with the Krakoan drugs, and but also not Sinister. Apocalypse tosses Forge his neutralizer gun. Technology he developed to depower mutants. Technology that humanity may never have discovered on their own. And Apocalypse tells Forge to ask himself, does he deserve the world that's outside the window? Could he deserve the world outside the window? Next we've got Mirage, with Apocalypse telling her that she's never risen to her full potential. When her gift was stolen from her, she did not stumble. With Mirage stating that it wasn't her power that made her an X-Man. Proved that many times over. But Apocalypse states that she'd always stood in the shadow of greatness. Sure, she was part of the initial class of New Mutants, but then the X-Men stuck around, so the New Mutants didn't become the X-Men. But then there was Generation X, and then the new X-Men. But Apocalypse states that he sees greatness dormant in her. She points out that, but perhaps her vision is his eyes were deceived by Danny's namesake. She points out that Selene fought her and her friends and got her ass kicked. So did the rest of the externals. She accepted Apocalypse's invite to make sure no other power-hungry immortal exceeds their reach. Though Apocalypse states that the stagnant pond breeds pestilence. But she basically sits down in what appears to be Xavier's office and states that all she sees is possibility. And finally, we have Cypher. He defied the wishes of the Quiet Council, though the Council did not, while the Council spoke for Krakoa, the Council did not speak with Krakoa, which is a flaw that Apocalypse realizes. But for centuries, Apocalypse believed that his methods were the only way forward for mutant kind. That he would test Mutantkin's metal and fire and blood before their enemies could find them lacking. He could become Mutankind's great monster in the darkness, driving through the species forward through fear and might. Then perhaps he needs an heir whose weapon is their words, whose tongue knows diplomacy and delicate lies. Doug Ramsey is the heir of Apocalypse. And so, as everyone's recovering, Wolverine and Richter discuss everything, with Richter thinking that he thought that this would be his destiny, being the heir of Apocalypse. Then, Richter asks Wolverine why she accepted, and Laura states that when Logan got whiff of the invites, he asked a few of us that he trusts to accept it fast. Make sure no one awful won. Got them if they did. Richter is surprised that Logan trusts people. But it's pointed out that it's a short list. Then Forge and Cable show up. Forge is glad that no one actually bit the dust. Apparently, Exodus didn't wish to stick around too long in the Great Satan's palace. Sinister, he wanted to stay, but Archangel caught him prodding at the unopened pods, and a few Razor Feathers later, and Sinister remembered he had places to be. Then Danny shows up and realizes that Doug isn't there. In Aswan, Egypt, Bay the Blood Moon, Warlock, and Apocalypse are gathered for the rebirth of Doug Ramsey as Apocalypse's heir, Revelation. Doug states that he won't shepherd as Apocalypse has, with force and might, which would disappoint Apocalypse greatly if he did. But Doug states that new mutant leaders will rise from the ashes of Krakoa. He will listen to them. He will learn from them. And he will do what he should have done to save the mutant way of life before the fall. He will reveal to them the error of their ways. And that is where the issue ends. Okay, alright. Doug Ramsey is the heir of Apocalypse. Did not expect that, but I honestly expect it to be, maybe Richter or Exodus. Moving on, though, to our last book for the moment, we've got Hellverine number 3. Operation Hellfire, which tried to turn, basically was an offshoot of the Weapon X program, which tried to turn Wolverine into a spirit of vengeance, under the Weapon X project's control, of course, has reared its ugly head once again and recruited Akihiro, Wolverine's son, who was killed by Sabretooth before the defeat of Orcus. Currently is under the command of General Harris. The issue begins with Harris's origin story. He was a commander of a shadow unit, waged the wars that took place outside the media's gaze. What they did was not only unaccountable but unimaginable. Asia, South America, Africa, the Middle East, Eastern Europe. He was said in some circles to put the red in the red, white, and blue. And on one mission, he learned that the families of enemy fighters were holed up in an ancient church. It hung a white flag of surrender in the entry, which Harris pulled down, and his squad tore the family of the enemy fighters up, no regard for their helplessness or for the sacredness of the holy site. There was a holy relic on the altar, as in so many other churches. It was the skull of a demon slain by a saint. And one of their targets shot Harris in the eye. Blood and violence had awoken the demon, and whispered in Harris's ear, so long as he would continue to carry sacrifices in Hell's name, Harris would live. He would be loyal to the Hell first and the U.S. government second. He enlisted and experienced a resurrection of his own. This is the person in charge of Operation Hellfire. Wolverine has been tracking it down because of his late son's involuntary involvement. He's already taken down a few of the Operation Hellfire's subjects, and saved the wife and kid of one of them. And so Wolverine is gifted, for the moment, the use of the woman's late husband's bike. But apparently, General Harris has perhaps become a bit more in touch with the demon that his patron demon, and is growing horns out of his head. And so the squad leader of the resurrected soldiers volunteers for Project Hellfire. Based on, hey, he'll keep them in, he'll keep the others in line. They'll listen to him. It'll work out. Akihiro is making his way towards Project Hellfire, and Secretary of Defense summons Harris, and she gets killed by one of the subjects. Harris attempts to escape, but is grabbed by Akihiro, who's dealing with the other test subjects. Apparently there's in the chest of every destroyer is a power cell fueled by Hellfire, which Akihiro destroys on one of them. However, Harris has specially made rounds for a weapon, holy water rounds, which he shoots Akihiro with. Wolverine is headed towards his son. The two are reunited, and the Bagul overtakes Wolverine. However, it overtakes Logan, but it leaves Akihiro seemingly just a dead husk. And that is where the issue ends. This is definitely an interesting story. I wasn't too sure about how this was going to play out with all the promos look basically just like unused promo work for Weapons of Vengeance, and it's related, but it's not the same. So I'm impressed. Anyways, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, Mastodon, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.